friends! My name is Allie, I'm the saver, and welcome to My Money, My Purpose. I've started this channel with my sister Tab and my best friend Steph with the intention of bringing women together to talk about our finances, down barriers, and chasing after our dreams. Because as crazy as life can get, we're not alone in all of this. So this is our very first video, and we're just going to be making vision boards and chatting about life. So stick around, grab a coffee or a tea or a mocktail, and start chasing after your dreams with us. Like what we're doing here, then subscribe, like this video, and leave a comment below. What is something that you're chasing after this year? And hopefully we can all inspire each other. Tab is going to walk you through what a vision board is.
My name's Tabby, and I'm the dreamer. Today, let's create a vision board. A vision board is a series of pictures, phrases, words, whatever helps you visualize what your goal in life is. Goals, health, fitness, or just where you want to live. Anything you picture yourself doing, put it on that board, and let's create a vision.
Hi, I'm Stephanie. I'm the spendy one. And y'all, this is my first vision board. So, all right, universe, work your magic. Let's see what happens.
I don't care if you're watching TV in your freaking living room. Wake up and put on a gosh darn suit. That speaks to my soul. Like, so I had three $15 magazines, and I was like, you know what? I'll just pick one. Okay, let's just pick one. People. And the one that I picked was The Power of Positivity.
Ooh, okay.
Nice. And so there was a faith-based one, and there was a mindfulness one, and then there was this one. And I was like, I'll probably go back and get the faith one, but I just picked this one just to be a little bit more universal. And so the thing that I came across was there are some benefits to focusing on something that you want, because this can boost your confidence and optimism, which could actually change your behavior. So I see this.
Yeah.
I do see. It does. It makes you
Yeah,
happy.
I was thinking
When you
about
start
it.
seeing yourself in a happy situation, you can't help but smile. True. And our feelings are what generate energy, not our thoughts. Our thoughts create our feelings create our energy, and our energy creates our experience. So if you just have the thought without the feeling, it'll never happen. So you need that as almost like a prerequisite, because that's going to fuel the action items. Because you can't make changes without action items, period. Change starts with the fact that it's already happened. So the person that's happened to, what does their life look like? Start waking up and doing that.
You have to
Start
make a change.
becoming that. If they wake up and they wear a suit every day, I don't care if you're watching TV in your freaking living room. Wake up and put on a gosh darn suit. Look in the mirror and see yourself being exactly the way you would be if you had the job and the life that you want, and start living like that. And God and the universe has no choice but to bring it to you. And putting this, see my quote? What the mind of man can conceive and believe it can achieve.
Therefore I tell you, whatever you ask for in prayer, believe that you have received it and it will be yours.
And you're always one decision away from a totally different life.
That is so true.
And sometimes it's like the small one. They're like the decisions you think are small, and then they take you on like a totally different path.
We think they're small. We put that.
Right, we don't know like just how big they are. Yeah. Like when people think about the things they want, if they think too big, they think like, oh, I'm bad for wanting that, or oh, why am I grateful for what I have?
That's another thing that the Sky I Follow says.
Yeah.
We're conditioned to think if you want to be a multi-billionaire, suddenly you're a greedy person. Well, no, that's what you want.
But you're bad.
Right.
I've seen people online apologize for being like, oh, I'm looking for a new job. Oh, well, it's not that I'm not grateful, like I have a job and all that stuff. And then they're like justifying what they want. It's like, it's okay to just say like, you want whatever it is, whether it's like, more money or it's a different like type of thing. Like, it doesn't matter. You don't owe anyone a justification. You can genuinely just want something and have it for yourself.
You don't owe anyone an explanation.
Mm-hmm.
Well, think bigger.
Yeah.
More for yourself. Think a little bigger for yourself. You know, because the only limitation is the limitation you put on yourself. No stranger's going to know what your qualifications are. They only know what you tell them. Right. And that's what I'm like. You can talk your way into a job all you want to,
There's a lot of skills that they think to themselves, okay, I can teach somebody this. I can't teach you your personality though. So if they like you, then they're like, okay, yeah, I'd rather take somebody who's gonna fit with the team and that I like, and then teach them the things they need to know, than maybe who else like applied.
And anyone who thinks differently, just because, right, in their mind they've been conditioned to think that wanting to better yourself is somehow wrong. That's a lot of self-work that people don't take the time to do.
Yeah. Invest in themselves.
Because a lot of the times people look at their worth and their value based off of what they've already done. Well, honey, if the only thing you've ever done is entry level, then of course your belief system is going to be, that's all I can do.
Yeah.
I got to a job. They were like, well, you haven't done it. I was like, if no one likes you, how can you do it?
Yeah.
And they were like, well, I was like, how can you possibly do something if everyone looks at you and says, since you haven't done it yet, I'm not going to give you a shot. Like, that's so lame.
That's so real, yeah.
I said that to the corner bakery in my interview. And they were like, and I was like, yeah, that's why I'm interviewing. I want to be able to say I've done it. Yeah.
No, that's
I was watching something years ago, and he was talking about the difference between competence and confidence. And a lot of the times there's that scale where the more competent you feel, the more confident you feel, and it's tied in work, relationships,
right.
life in general. Yeah, exactly. But it's like, no, let's not do that. But that's the thing. If I don't feel competent in an interview to tell a hiring manager, I deserve 70, 80K a year, you're never going to do it. You're not going to do it, right? Yeah. No, because you don't believe you're worth it. So why would they? You can't convince them. You can't even convince yourself.
You got to start with you.
You say to yourself, oh, that's way too much for a starting salary. Okay. Right there, right, obviously. So then you've cut yourself short. It's hard to break that mindset. It's hard to break that mindset, but also that's like borderline, not to get super into conspiracy, but it's like, there is a reason why we believe these things. That's a societal thing. We're conditioned. We're conditioned. Because that's the be in this box, right? This tunnel vision. Yeah. Well, and they have to do that. They have to do that to control society. They have to. Yeah, right. They're controlling the masses by controlling the mind. Because if you control the mind, you control the reality. So in order, that's the only way.
Yeah,
so that's why only 1% of the population has what they have. Only 1% is unable to be controlled. You're conditioned to wake up, to work a 9 to 5, to do this, and none of it.
To work a 9 to 5, yeah. That is such a big one.
That's the American dream.
Mm-hmm.
What? You work to save to eventually, in your last 10 years of life, enjoy it.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So you've worked that entire time to enjoy such a small.
The times that people, right, like when you ask me, like, oh, what are they going to do in retirement? That's when you finally hear people's like dreams. That's when people are finally able to be like, oh, I'm going to travel everywhere. Oh, I would buy this business, or like whatever it is. Then you're like, that's your dream. Like, that's the thing you really want. You've just been conditioned to think like that you get it once you turn 65 and that you have to be retired to do that thing.
Which is
and so some people never actually get to do it because they never end up retiring. Mm-hmm. So therefore, they never ever get to do it. Mm-hmm. And their whole life was under the impression that once I get to retire, I'll be able to live. And that's just, wow. It's a lot of breaking that misogyny. Like, no, you're not given everything. But why is it that we have the belief system that we do about ourselves? That's the problem. We need to be taught to believe that we can, not that we just have them. I had a friend a couple years ago, or not even. It was, no, you know what? Actually, it was right before I got this job in HR. And I was searching, and I just had a bitch of a time trying to find a job, and I didn't know how much money to ask for, blah, blah. Anyway, so I asked my friend Nicolette, and I'm like, I just don't even know how much I should be asking for. Like, I don't know, blah, blah, blah. And she ends up telling me how much money she makes.
Right, yeah.
Well, at the time, she was working for, like a firm, or, I'm just going to totally butcher it. But anyway, she was basically working with a company that was contracting for another bigger company, and she was working at like a lead generator and like an analyst. And at the start, she was making like 75K. Now, see, I knew that because the reason why she took the job in the first place was because it was like 20 grand more than she was making before. Okay. So I knew what her starting was because when she was asking the friend group, you know, ooh, like, should I take this job? Should I not? Whatever, blah, blah, blah. Like, that was the reason why. Right. Simply for the money, right? 3-4 years later, she was telling me that she got a bump, and I was like, ooh, like, congratulations, I didn't know that. And then I told her, I was like, I really appreciate you being transparent about how much money you make. I was, you know, a little, I wouldn't say surprised, that's just kind of her personality, but she was like, no, she's like, I don't know why it's so taboo to not talk about how much money we make and what our finances are and all this stuff. Yeah. And I had this conversation with Allie probably a little over a year ago. Yeah, well, just right before I got this job, and I was telling her about what Nicolette said. And then Allie told me how much money she made. And I was like, okay, so like this is good, but why is it so uncomfortable to get there? You know, yeah. Like, why does it have to be? It shouldn't have to be that uncomfortable to get there. What, you know what I mean? If you're, I understand why. Yeah. But let's destigmatize why it's uncomfortable to talk about how much money you make, especially amongst women. Like, why is it that it's harder for women to be that transparent about how much money you make, but men will talk about their promotions and shit all the time? You know, like, let's break those barriers.
Yeah. And like having that conversation made me realize, like, okay, if we're thinking about it, there's other women that are having the same thoughts that are also looking for that outlet of like, yes, who is that friend that I can go to be like, hey, this is the situation.
Like, what is a fair salary for a brand new college grad? You know, and obviously, like, depending on the industry, sure, but like, if you depending upon their qualifications of what they can bring to the table. Some graduates are extremely unmotivated, only went to school because someone told them to, and got the same degree as someone who just brings so much more to the table.
True. And the other thing is,
and they should not make equal. I do not feel they should ever make equal. I feel that the person that has more personality, brings more, that cared more, that drives more, should make more than the person whose parents just decided to pay for their degree. Because
there is room to negotiate. It's okay to be like, hey, is there a $5 grand difference?
But that's right. The starting salary should be whatever you believe you're qualified to get.
Yeah,
I don't know. Right. Like, some people might think, you know what, I can get 100 grand. And you know what, out of college, you probably will. Congratulations, because that other guy only thinks he's getting 30. So, you know?
Yeah.
But that's what I mean by the drive and the passion and, like you're saying, the negotiation, because you know what you bring to the table.
But, right, like, I didn't think that I had any room to negotiate my first salary. I just thought, like, okay, cool. They offered me money, and, like, I just graduated, and, like, this is great. Like, I'm just going to take it. But then, like, having been at the company, now I look back, and I'm like, I wonder if, like, other kids that took the same job did negotiate. And they did start high. Like, I have no idea. But I don't think, like, there probably was room to do that. Because I know a lot of times people say, like employers go into the conversation thinking that the person's going to negotiate. So there's usually room for them to move, and you don't think that's okay.
My literal go-to catchphrase, like when I was interviewing for jobs, what they'd ask me, like, okay, so what are your salary expectations? And my response was always, what's your base salary? And they'd tell me. And that would either work for me or it wouldn't. Well, if it didn't work for me, I'd move on to the next job. Never even thinking, well, is there room for flexibility? So when Amy interviewed me for the job that I have now, and I asked her, she's like, because what are your salary expectations? And I'm like, what's your base? And I was like, oh my God, okay, perfect. But see, for me, it was perfect because industry standard, what I had researched on Indeed. Which you believed. Well, so, but like, for brand new, no experience, at like 55, 56K a year, I was like, I'll fucking take it.
Right.
Yeah. And at the time, though, that was amazing.
Right.
That was amazing. I was like, I'm so lucky. I even got 50 a year for my first HR job with no experience. Yeah. You know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that's always your thought. It's like, oh man, I'm so lucky. Like, so you don't even think about like having a conversation about it.
Yeah, your
Yeah.
personal expectation was making $50,000 a year. That's good. Yeah. Now, if you had thought to yourself, well, someone in my job description should make $100,000 a year, you would have moved on when they offered you that. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's all based on what society has told us is the standard. Like you're saying, what is the standard for a new employee? We always look that up. Like everybody. Yeah. And we compare ourselves to, okay, what is the standard? I realize companies can pay you whatever they want. No company has a standard.